At the core of workforce management is the ability of an institution to optimize the productivity of its employees on individual, departmental, and entity-wide levels. At the time when globalization is no longer a luxury, but a necessity for an enterprise to remain competitive, there is a whole new set of challenges. Effective workforce management and finding the resources that can support this growth is one of the key concerns corporations face. However, labor costs and compliance are equally important factors. So how can businesses ensure that they have the best systems in place to support these changes? We speak with executives in finance and HR about the evolution they have witnessed in the workforce management space and the collaboration between these two departments.
Infor are the third largest enterprise application software company in the world. We have a turnover around 2.7 billion per year in dollars, and we employ about 13,000 people across the world. We're in 194 countries, and we have around 73,000 clients across the world. In the HR space, Infor have what we call Human Capital Management Suite, which is a set of applications which cover everything from hire to retire. So it starts with trying to find the right applicants, using applicant tracking systems, also using talent science to work out what's the best behavioural fit to your organisation.
My name is Rob Colley and I work at Sky. I've been at Sky for 6 years. I'm one of the directors of finance. Before Sky, I was at Cadbury for another 6 years. If I compare Sky to my previous company, Cadbury, there definitely are things in common and are things that are quite different. So in common, both businesses very passionate about the brand. Both businesses have to understand how the processes work to fit it all together, because the end point for the customer is that wonderful product that you get. I guess the differences are Sky's only just started on the world of international expansion with our recent acquisition of Italy and Germany. So how we cope with international is new to Sky, and it's something we've done before in Cadbury for many years.
I'm Chris Pang. I'm a research director at Gartner Research. Gartner Research is a global research and advisory organisation. We are over 30 years old, and we finished last year with just over 2 billion in revenues. And our job is essentially to provide the right advice and insights to the buyers and providers of IT services and products.
Cross-collaboration between finance and HR teams is playing an increasingly critical role in ensuring business process innovation.
When I think about processes and process ownership, what's more important is that we manage them end to end and we're clear on who is responsible and accountable for the different steps. I think the collaboration between finance and HR is really important. I would start by saying that in Sky, we do this to ourselves as finance, so we define what we want out of the whole finance development process, and then our HR colleagues are there to help us. But we have to take ownership, and we do that very readily. Sky, like most companies, does need finance and HR work very closely together. There are two key resources that any company has on a day-to-day basis. One is people, and the second one is money. And how do you allocate those people and that money against those highest priorities is the job of any company. And therefore finance and HR have to work very well together. I think in Sky we do get along, we do understand the different roles that we've got, and we respect each other for that. And I think most companies who can bring those two guys together, those two teams together, does prosper.
We have definitely seen an increase in collaboration between finance and HR when it comes to human capital management technologies overall. However, what I would say is that the bulk of the increase has been more related to workforce management and time and attendance technologies. Typically, it's because finance has long been siloed and HR has long been siloed when it comes to technology selection. However, the state of technology today and the importance of linking outcome with cost is becoming more and more important when it comes to ensuring companies run sensibly from a revenue and profit perspective. So we definitely see an urge for finance and HR to definitely collaborate more into the future.
With the evolution in technology that we have witnessed in recent years, to what extent should a company embrace software as a service and look to move to the cloud?
The area of human capital management was one of the first areas to migrate towards the cloud. This shift happened over 10 years ago, and in terms of the build-up, that's been steadily building up to the extent that by 2017 we expect that the market, which currently is running at about 9 billion in terms of annual revenue, will actually come from SaaS versus on-premise systems. And going forward over into 2020, we expect that move to continue, such that cloud will become the dominant method of human capital management technologies.
When we go out to our customers and our prospects, there's two big things that they're asking us for at the moment. The first one is being driven by the consumer application. So historically, enterprise applications are very big, very functionally rich, very deep, but very difficult to use. With the introduction of Android, iOS, all those apps that our employees are using now, especially with our millennials coming into the workforce, the drive is really to make the software much more straightforward to use. And Infor have actually introduced their own design agency, Hook and Loop, in Manhattan, who only look at the user experience. So they're not engineers, they're not software people, they're graphic designers, they're people who worked on the Avengers films, they're people who design colouring apps for kids and get awards. And we've got a designer from Kenneth Cole, I think, on board as well. Really looking at how we can deliver a beautiful piece of software that people really want to use and really high adoption rate. So that's the first thing they're after. The second thing they're after is to make some sense of all their data. I think the statistic is 90% of all the world's data has been created in the last 2 years. And organisations are getting to exhaustion with that amount of data. They don't know what to do with it. So they're expecting software now to do something with that data for them. Not just collect the data, not just have the data, but how do they use that data going forward? Again, we're looking at, we've created in Cambridge, Massachusetts, a dynamic science lab. And all they're looking at is how do you get from big data to reusable data and usable decision-making tools. One of the big problems that we've had with enterprise software in the past is that they are huge, they're complex, and organisations quite often have a huge amount of customization in that enterprise piece of software for their business. So an executive have pinned their colours to a piece of software, spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, developing that piece of software for them, and they don't want to let that go. They see that if that has been made for them, there can't be anything else on the market that can do what they want. They haven't realised that the way that companies like Infor are approaching the market now is looking at point solutions that are loosely coupled. So no longer do you need one big monolithic piece of software, you can have point solutions loosely coupled, which are flexible and have been designed by industry to deal with exactly everything they need in their organisation. No customization anymore, just configuration.
Like most companies, Sky is really interested in how we can use technology to support the day-to-day activities. In the shared service centre, we have all sorts of campaigns to try and automate activities, everything from macros and spreadsheets through to trying to get all our suppliers to invoices electronically. There are lots of new technologies coming out. We're trying all of them. Not all of them work, some of them do, but the overall objective is clear. How can we do stuff in as efficient way as possible so we can then divert money to where customers value it on screen? So if I think of digital and Sky and finance, then it has to be the way forward. There's a lovely phrase which is software is eating the world. And the more that we can convert technology in a way that will take away the day job and allow us to focus on the value add, that can only be a good thing. The hard thing is trying to get that business case, especially when some of these technologies are new and unproven.
So what exactly are the main challenges an organisation faces in managing its workforce?
The problems are legislation. There's now many different levels of legislation that multinationals have to deal with. So in Germany you have works councils, in France you have collective bargaining agreements, UK you have trade union rules. If you're an organisation working in all those different areas, you need software that can enforce the legislation and record the compliance for all those different territories. And you want to get the best practice from those territories as well. You want to learn from Germany what is something that you can apply in different territories. So no longer do multinationals want or need to have individual point solutions for every territory, Infor have developed in their workforce management software a single instance of software which you can deploy across the world.
We define finance development at Sky as being all about the individuals and their careers. So how can we help people progress their career, develop, learn new things, try new things, and we call that finance development. So I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for making sure people have the opportunities and are able to progress and develop. If I think of the shared service team, one of the big challenges is how do you make them feel part of a wider organisation? How do you make them feel passionate about being part of Sky, about the customer products that we provide? How do you make them think that they are adding to that? Come back to the old story about asking a woman who was cleaning the lavatories in NASA, what did she think? And she said, I'm helping put humans on the moon. I think of that in Sky. Their job is not to process an invoice. Their job is to help us put the best possible content on screen where our customers will value it.
Controlling labour costs is one of the key concerns for any organisation, regardless of size or sector. But focusing merely on cost reduction can result in diminished productivity and service levels, or even put your company at risk for failing to meet the compliance requirements.
When it comes to multinationals managing their workforce, the key challenge that they have here is actually the management part. By their definition, multinationals typically have been made up through acquisitions and mergers over the last few decades in some cases. And as a result of that, the workforce is very diverse, both in terms of the agreements which workers have been hired under, and also because of the multinational dimension, the different legislations which multinational organisations have to abide by. The problem which most organisations have is actually managing that complexity and ensuring that they're not breaking any rules and regulations, and that they are still able to effectively report on and manage that business in an efficient manner.
Time and attendance is all about capturing time. And up until quite recently, that's been capturing when I came to work, when I went home, did I do the right hours? Fairly simple. And then paying somebody based on that. Reducing the payroll errors, reducing the administration. There's now a flip to, rather than thinking about the past, we need to think about the future. So if I've been scheduled for 35 hours this week and after 2 days I've done 25 hours, let's proactively tell the manager, if I keep working my schedule this week, I'm likely to incur overtime. So rather than waiting for it to happen and just paying it, let's do something proactive. Let's look forward and get the system to inform managers where they need to make decisions, rather than waiting till after the fact. That's the major change, the flip around of looking from the past to looking in the future.
So how will the workforce management space evolve in the years to come?
The big change we're going to see is a much more non-direct workforce. More and more organisations are outsourcing part of their work. Retailers are outsourcing their merchandising. So how do we combine both our outsourced employees, our direct employees? How do we manage them? How do we schedule them? And then how do we work out what's the best fit? So I think we're going to see a lot more behavioural matches in workforce management coming from the talent science piece, what makes a good team. And we're also going to see much more of the analytics and the machine learning to try and help people make better decisions going forward.
Over the next 5 years, we expect that workforce management as a discipline will become more top of mind, especially for European organisations. Right now, we see a definite uptake in terms of inquiries from our customers around workforce management technologies.
Today, organizations face increased pressure and complexity in human capital management from a number of market disruptions. Globalization, technology, social and mobile, skill and labor shortages, compliance and even economics are all issues that demand the attention of the organization and have the potential to influence its profitability. Standardization of cross-border business software solution will play an increasingly important role in the future, ensuring a greater visibility across international locations. However, collaboration between finance and HR teams is equally important to navigating this path smoothly.